we're gonna know more in the blue and gold game, but obviously there were some rumblings of maybe a potential first or somebody that's taking a little bit of the lead. I'll let you take the lead on that and kind of setting the stage for the quarterback battle talk for today.
Yeah. So all the reports that I've read and what I've heard internally is that, like, the guy that there was the scrimmage this weekend, and the guy that far and away was the best in the scrimmage was Kenny Minchey. And the guy who performed the best or during the practices as well, it's been Kenny Minchey. I mean, it was not what anyone had really pontificated upon, had mentioned. I mean, certainly there's some people who are like, what if it is? And I think I've pondered it myself, but Kenny Minchey was not the guy that anyone thought was going to come out of this job. A lot of people just assumed it was going to be the experience versus the potential of Carr. It was like Angeli Carr. And then Minchey was just there. And all Kenny Minchey has done is showed up to work this spring. And thinking on it, is this kind of a best case scenario in what I laid out, that we as fans, and I'm sure internally there was maybe, they knew a little bit more, but they'd have to be lying to say that they weren't intrigued by CJ Carr's potential talent and then Angeli. But for a third guy to rise above, and by all accounts I've heard, Carr and Angeli both had good springs so far. So it's not like they're floundering. It's not like they're, Brandon Wimbush unable to hit the net on the sideline, or they're turning in like, and I understand Deshaun Kaiser had a wonderful season, but they're not having a Deshaun Kaiser spring. It's just Kenny Minchey's been good. And I think that adds, I don't know, what do you think? Do you feel like that adds a little bit more weight when he comes out of left field like that and it's not the guy that you expected? And for this buzz to be there, it feels like legitimately earned.
Oh yeah. Well, it definitely feels legitimately earned if it is Minchey, just because like two things really. You could anoint like CJ Carr and say, well, you know what? You're the guy, the big time recruit. People been waiting on this, and you get almost a little bit of a confirmation bias in that way. He's supposed to be good coming off injury. We've seen him. Like, he's had flashes. All right. Like, every single thing he does maybe has more weight to it than maybe what the other guys do. And so you're letting that kind of, make the decision for you. And then when it comes to Steve Angeli, it could just be the other way around, where it's like he's paid his dues, locker room guy. Like, there's no
the Miller Moss scenario.
He can't
right?
be the guy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you just Miller Moss it. You're just like, oh yeah, it's fine. We'll just roll with the guy who Brian Kelly would have done that, right? Just roll with the guys with the experience.
But when it's Kenny Minchey, it's like, okay, well, now those two guys might transfer before fall. Well, I mean, I don't know if CJ Carr might actually transfer, but like Angeli's out of here, like, because that's way too risky for him. So it's like, well, if they make a decision like that, then Minchey must have just taken it. Like, and at that point, it has to show they were definitely going into this 3-man race. Everybody's going to get reps with the ones. Everybody's going to get a shot. And whatever happened in that scrimmage, he took the bull by the horns, man. I mean, he had a great game. You were making some of the spring references. I'm thinking a little bit like Sam Hartman's springtime, when it was just like during that game, it was like, okay, well, so when is Buckner going to enter the transfer portal? Like, because he's got to be out of here now.
Yeah, it's already a foregone conclusion. Yeah, it's not even a battle. And and not for nothing. And I don't think that you can place an incredible amount of weight on a silly scheduled media meet and greet. But Notre Dame on Thursday in Mishawaka is at a Dick's Sporting Goods, which I've been to. I've been to that Dick's. They are hosting the trophies from the playoff, the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl trophies. So you can go to this Dick's Sporting Goods and see the trophies, probably get your pictures taken with the trophies. And then at 5:30 to 6:30, they're going to have some Notre Dame football players that are going to attend that you can take pictures with, I would assume, get autographs, that kind of stuff, meet and greet with the players. And the players that they're sending 5 players to go with the trophies to the Stick Sporting Goods. And the players are Don Schuler, right? Leonard Moore. Okay. Jeremiah Love, of course. Christian Gray. I mean, that's your secondary and your best football player. And then they're also including Kenny Minchie. And I understand that there could be some class conflicts that certainly might preclude Angeli or CJ from attending this event. But I mean, they could have asked Greathouse, right? I mean, they could have brought both running backs. They could have brought Jadarian Price if they wanted to. They could have brought a big boy on the O-line. They could have brought a lot of players, but they're bringing Kenny Minchie. And I don't think that that's nothing, especially off of what I've heard and what I've also read and seen reported for the sort of spring that Minchie's had.
So, like, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I would just immediately say, oh, my goodness, this has to be nothing in the sense of, like, oh, if I knew the class schedules of CJ Carr and Steve Angeli. But at the same time, look, I'm not trying to – Notre Dame, great university. Academics, they're there. But there's an hour on this Thursday, like, evening that these players have for this availability. And I'm sure they have classes. I'm not saying that. But I don't know if my mind jumps immediately to, oh, well, they have classes, so that's why they wanted to bring a quarterback in. My mind does go to, okay, hearing this report, like from the other day about how well he's playing, and then seeing this, I do have a little bit of confirmation bias, and I want to put 2 and 2 together because it really does feel like it was an avoidable thing. And like you said, you don't even have to bring the quarterbacks. You just bring somebody else.
You don't have to bring the quarterbacks. Yeah, you didn't have to bring Kenny Minchie. You didn't have to bring him. And why are you bringing Kenny Minchie in any event? I mean, all of these other players were extremely productive contributors on, the run to these 2 trophies that they're hosting. I mean, you're not
including Steve Angeli.
Including Steve Angeli. I'm not like we've been over. You're not beating Penn State. Maybe, you're probably not beating Penn State without Steve Angeli at the end of the half. I mean, we talked about that last week. You're not beating them without Steve Angeli.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's nothing. I don't think it's everything. I don't think that it's everything, but I don't think that it's nothing.
I mean, this is something that's going to play out over the next few days. I'd imagine we're probably going to get some news. I think at least over under 1.5 quarterbacks in the transfer portal at the end of this week.
Oh boy. I think I'm taking the under because I think one of the components is Angeli has his degree, which matters to a lot of these players. When you go to Notre Dame, a big part of it is when you get that Notre Dame degree, it does matter. And so I'm not sure if it'll matter as much for CJ Carr if he has pro aspirations. And plus with Minchie, he's young enough that he is just to play away. But I think that if it is Minchie, I mean, Angeli, I cannot fathom. He wants to play, and who can blame him, right? I mean, he's got a Notre Dame degree already. So, like, why stick around? And if he does, I mean, kudos to the culture. But
absolutely, kudos to the culture. I mean, and then, I have no idea what they would have possibly had to say to him, or that we wouldn't just be able to see straight up during the blue gold game him dominating. For a reason for him to just stay. So I'm going to go, if it's Minchie, I think both of them are out.
You think both
yeah.
Out?
I just think.
And then we're entering into that 2 plays away from, and you know what? I don't even think it would be 2 plays away for Buckner. I think if both of them do, I think Buckner then becomes your de facto backup quarterback going into 2025.
They can always end up getting somebody who does transfer in too after the spring game. Maybe somebody who's a little bit of a smaller name, something like that.
I mean, they probably need to.
I just think I think Minchie, just from like an outsider perspective, buys more into the whole 1 play away thing than CJ Carr does. But there will definitely be somebody out there who does buy into the 1 play away thing for a Notre Dame quarterback. Maybe he has a connection to one of the coaches, through high school, was recruited from them. Maybe, I don't know, a guy on Penn State, like depth chart. Like, I have no idea, but like, I feel like that guy definitely could come. But if both those guys leave, though, even though I do think it'll happen, if it's Minchie, that's
because you'd be looking at
that's dangerous.
True freshman Blake Herbert is being the only scholarship on the roster scholarship quarterback because Buckner's still a wide receiver and I think he's a walk-on still. We'll see what happens with the 105 if that drops, but Buckner. There's worse like Buckner as a backup quarterback is not a terrible situation. The man started football games in the SEC. He started a football game at the Shoe. There's certainly worse scenarios that you can envision.
And the movie script that I mentioned last week is writing itself hot off the press if Buckner leads this team to any sort of big win that we have on the schedule this year. So that would just be actually like an amazing story. And
it would
this is that first step where it's like, oh, something's happening. Something's changing in this movie. Oh, I know where this is going. To these guys into the transfer portal. Oh, I know what's happening now. I know how the rest of this goes.